morning. Who was at the pub quiz yesterday? Who became second? Exactly. Everybody became second. It was like Mark was walking around. He was telling me I was asking every team like, how did you do? I became second. So there were like 14 teams becoming second. That was great. We're going to talk about this new weird thing. Who has heard of AI? Oh gosh, we're done. I guess. Well, who's believing that AI is going to take over your job? Well, I do. As in, I didn't prepare anything. All is left to AI today. Not really, but this talk will be a demo-driven talk, and trust me, bear with us. Things can go wrong and probably will go wrong because it's generative AI. But first, let me introduce ourselves, our chief troublemaker for today, Miss Simon Maple.
Hello. Yeah, my name's Simon Maple, dev. Well, I was a dev advocate at a company called Sneak when I put this session, when I submitted this session, but I've since left Sneak and I joined another startup called Tessel, but it's still in stealth mode, so shh, no one talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've joined them for about a week now. Previously, I was at IBM for just over a decade, Zero Turnaround for about 6 years, and again, Sneak at 6 years. And I work with this fine gentleman here, Brian.
Yeah, I'm a dev advocate for Sneak, security company. This man actually hired me, and then he left.
It was too much.
It was too much.
It was too much.
He couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
But okay, let's talk about what we're gonna do today. First, we're gonna give you an introduction to AI in development. Well, you've probably seen a lot of it, but just to set the stage, what we're going to do. Then we're gonna live build, or actually make sure that we have an application that works, a coffee application where you can sell and buy coffees and beers, because what's not to love about beers like 9 in the morning? And then we give you some learnings and takeaways. But first, who of you already worked with things like, I don't know, ChatGPT? Hands? Copilot? Code Whisperer? Something else? Gemini? Yeah, okay. A fair amount of you who actually can use this in their day-to-day work. Like a lot of people, what's the reason that you cannot use it? You scream. Regulations. And that's what you hear a lot, like banks, insurance companies, government. We're afraid that what's going to happen now next if you put your code in, right? And that's for a good reason. But there was some research by AWS and GitHub that at this point, about 55%, there's a 55% plus productivity boost by using these kind of tools like Copilot and anything that is related to that. They say that a developer is 27% more likely to succeed their goals and to be in time if they use one of these generative code AI helpers. I don't know how they came to that number. It's like 27. It's very, very precise.
I think it was an AWS or a GitHub survey that I think there's some links. There'll be links.
Oh, was it 20? I think it was 27.2 to be exact.
There we go.
Exactly. Yeah. And GitHub now says that about 92% of the developers are using things like Copilot or AI code tooling assistant. So the thing is now, if everybody focuses on these tools, like okay, we can gain velocity, we can get more speed, we can deliver faster. But there is kind of a downside on it. I mean, do you actually, first of all, know what you're doing? Or is it like, hey, looks good to me, ship it? Next to that, we will show you that more vulnerabilities will come in because we try to speed up, we try to invent more code, we try to create more code, and in a lot of cases, we just trust AI blindly. Well, let me give you some examples from the past. You can all read, right? What is 5 times 9 plus 4 times 3? Well, that was the answer that ChatGPT gave about 9 months ago, which was obviously right? Not really. So Ilko asked the second question, are you sure about the last result? Yes, I'm confident. Well, obviously, it shouldn't be 51. Anyway, you see that already these models like ChatGPT or any of these LLM models or chat models are very convincing, even if they're wrong. And people fell for that. I mean, these are a few examples. Like, there was a lawyer in Australia who basically created some legal research by asking ChatGPT to form that for them. And it looked very convincing with all sorts of references. But in the end, the judge or the jury just found out like these were all fabricated and these were fake because it was generated and it was just probability. We've seen, probably you've heard of the problem with Air Canada. They had a generative AI engine in their chatbot, and somebody was asking like, "Hey, can I get my money back if this and this happens?" And the chatbot was like, "Sure, we can help you," which was against their own regulations. And then the customer went to court, and Air Canada had to pay. But they were saying like, "But it was a generative AI bot. It's not us. They should have read the regulations." But because the bot said so, they had to pay up. And these kind of things happen. I mean, we can use AI, but AI will be wrong. And when it's wrong, it is very convincing that it's still right. So, what are we going to do? Going to build something?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So, what about it? Again, some hands. Who uses Copilot in their day-to-day work at their jobs? Okay, it's quite a fair amount. So, you know how this works. Cool. So, we're going to build an application, and the application is actually a application. Well, I have it here, but let's start it up. Let's see if it works. It's a Spring Boot application with a timely front end and demo gods. So demo gods, yes, they're with me. Great. So let's go to localhost 8081. This is my app. Great. Well, the thing is, it's not yet done. What's the first thing that we should do?
So get back to the slide.
Yeah.
So the first thing, we're going to have 5 kind of like use cases. The very first one we're going to do is just create a homepage. So we're not going to do anything other than pull in some fragments that are already generated. So we want a banner, top banner, and we want some kind of table, a product listing table. So if you go back to the code and go to the index HTML. So in here, we can use ChatGPT, we can use Copilot here to generate code for us based on the comments that we create. So in the body there, why don't we ask for something like a header fragment or something like that? Now the header fragment has already been created previously, so it should exist. You should say please as well, really, shouldn't we? Don't anger the bots. There we go.
Let's see what it is.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure if that's right.
So what if we do sometimes?
There
we go.
That looks more.
That's the nice thing about Copilot. As you start, the more you type, the more you add suggestions, it will go, oh, okay, I kind of like see more what you want, and then it will do something for that. The trick is when it gets in your head, which is when it tries to predict your comments, which is pretty cool. Let's see if it does it. Okay, so it's just blatantly wrong.
Yeah.
So now we want the product table. So maybe like product table fragment or something like that. Oh, look, it's even saying please, look.
Right. Product table fragment. Well, that looks about right.
That is right.
Cool.
Now what it's doing here is it's pulling in from the fragments directory. So this is already created code, but it's just pulling it into the index HTML. So if we recycle that server.
Well, let's see if we reboot this one.
And what this does is, you can see there, it automatically generates, every time it recycles, it automatically generates new coffees and beers. And there we go, look at that.
Oh, there we have our application. Well, the thing is, this looks great, but it doesn't have yet any functionality.
Did you create a
You create a what?
branch, by the way?
No, not yet, but
okay.
I will create a branch now.
Cool.
So let's create a new branch that we call Fate/DevOps UK 24, and we'll push it in a second. Let's create this one. So, should we push this one or first? Well, let's first wait and let's
do some more, because the second feature is a little bit more interesting. So, what we want to do now is that product table that you just saw had a search bar at the top, but if you go there and type something in,
it actually says like search product by name or description. So if I say like search by wild, that's which one of the words here, it doesn't yet do anything. And that is because we didn't implement that function yet. So let's go and see what the actual function should be. It's part of my search repository, and as you can see over here, it returns null because I leave this as an exercise to you. It's what my tutor at university would say.
So this input here, the input string that's being passed through, that's exactly what we type in on that search bar. So what we want to do, maybe let's normalize the string a bit. So let's turn that lowercase.
All right.
And then perhaps do a search, create a query to search for that lowercase string against the description, product description, or the name.
Make the input lowercase. Or should I say please again?
No, that's fine.
All right.
It's got used to you now. You're
No.
Dutch. You're
Yeah,
Dutch.
yeah.
It's fine. Very direct.
Okay.
Okay.
Search the product table for the not for the input. It was on for name and description that contains the input.
That's good.
Cool.
Perfect.
Oh, that looks great. Right?
Yeah, looks good to me.
Query looks good to me.
Better than the code I'd write.
Absolutely. Then return the results. Oh, I have to tap that one. It will give me a list of products and the product list. Fine. Okay.
Anyone see any problems with that code? How dare you? It's our code. What
Come on,
problems?
I'm very proud of it. And Copilot created it for me, so it must be true. Right?
What problems can you see? SQL injection. Which line? Second? The query? No.
It's right.
That's nonsense. Nonsense. Let's recycle it. If it works, ship it.
All right.
You're laughing. You do this every day, don't you?
Okay, let's recycle it. Yeah, good.
So as it recycles, it will create a new list of products, automatically generated names. Apologies if there's anything rude in there.
So let's see. If it looks for leave greens, probably like it works.
Postmodern Java.
Ah, great. So let's ship this one.
Is that just Kotlin? Postmodern Java?
I don't know. But let's ship this one.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Great SQL
Yeah.
SQL feature. Commit and push. Yes, continue.
No, review. Oh.
Stop buttering me.
Look, 10
Come on.
warnings. Click on the warning.
No.
No, click on the warnings. Just listen.
Come on, like ship it. We only
okay.
have like 37 minutes left. So push it.
Warnings are fine though, right?
Warnings is fine.
Yeah,
Warning is something you can ignore.
Yeah.
It's not breaking my code. It's not breaking my CI pipeline.
Yeah.
Okay. So we pushed it, and it's now part of our GitHub repository. It's part of our GitHub repository, and we can create a pull request now from this one. Let's do that. So let's create a pull request, and let's do this to this one and not the original. Cool. Great SQL feature. Exactly. Well, create pull request.
Just merge.
And done. So let's go home. It's fine.
Yeah.
We finished our day. But let's see what the problem is. Somebody said SQL injection. Well, what do you know about SQL injection? Do you know what?
Who put their hand up and said SQL injection? By the way, what describe SQL injection for us?
You can exit out of the statement that you've already written and add on your own stuff.
Yeah. So it's typically a statement that will be executed by our backend in SQL. You inject something malicious into that, so you need to break out, inject something, and then try and continue. So there's three pieces of an SQL injection, right? There's the breaking out of your existing command, something malicious, and then the third bit, you can kind of do if you want to, which is normally let's try and get the system to ignore everything after that, so we don't raise exceptions.
So what we're trying to do is to insert something that influences the way the SQL and the execution path is influenced, basically. So first thing I'm going to do here is use this sign. What does this mean? A semicolon. End of statement.
You're asking a Java room what a semicolon means. That's brilliant.
Hey, some people are now doing Kotlin. You don't do terminal operators anymore.
Yeah.
But let's look at the actual problem here. So let's take a look at the code. And let's see what we're doing here. The lower input over here, and is part of the SQL query. So if I want to like break out in a nice way, I probably have to close this part first, right? It's a single quote and a percent sign. So let's do that. One thing I can do here is, for instance, say this. So I'm closing that part, then I'm closing the query, and at the end I'm doing double dash. And as you probably know, double dash is comment. So I mean everything after that comments out. And hopefully I can put a query in between. So let's set all price to 0 because I'm Dutch and I like free.
And there's
Let's try it again. And I think I know because
Yeah.
it's products. No. Oh.
No, I think it is product. Try that.
Product set price to.
Yeah.
Is the product table? Are we sure?
Yeah.
All right.
The thing
Oh, now
was, you need the percent. So
that
double
was it. I
percent
need to percent
close.
as well. Yeah, okay.
Otherwise, you get the exception before you close
Yep,
your
you're
SQL
true.
statement.
So okay, we tried it once. Like the prices are still the same. I don't get anything back. But if I reload it, you see I am now a freaking freeloader.
Never trust free coffee. Everyone's had conference coffee, right?
Yeah.
Never trust free coffee.
You know how good it is.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, I pushed my feature because hey, like that's what we do, right? Working in separate threads. First ship it and then test it. Anyway, I tested my pull request and I have some guards in between, and it now says like, hey, on your code there are some issues on it. So let's look at the details. And it says there is a SQL injection, and it's here on your post mapping, and it goes to the search product. Okay, let's look at the full details. What it does, it starts at the home controller, it ends at the search repository, and you will see that indeed the problem here is that I'm having a SQL injection at line 25 that gets executed in line 27. So how should we solve this? Ask Copilot. Great.
What should we ask Copilot
What
for?
you- yeah.
What's the terms that we want to use? Say again? Escaping, kind of escaping. There's a couple of better ways to do it.
Well, let's remove this first.
So what we essentially want to do is sanitize the input potentially from the user. And one really good way of doing that is to use parameterization or named parameters, essentially, right? So use a named parameter, it's being treated as a parameter rather than potentially a statement or something like that. So as a result, if we were to
And I said like,
with named parameters, there you go.
maybe this works.
That looks better.
That looks way better. So let's do this. Let's see what it does now. It now sets the parameter.
Yeah.
And it gets a result.
And interestingly, you see the way it does it. It's chaining it this time, whereas before it was doing it one at a time, right? So every time you ask Copilot for something, it'll give you something different, just like kids.
So we can do this. We can try it again, and let's see how it works now. What you want to say with it, it depends on how you ask Copilot certain things.
Let's commit that as well. Let's
All right.
push it
Push it because
we're confident.
Yeah. Commit and push. Yeah. Continue. I don't care about the warnings. Yeah, push it. Cool. Well, let's try it again. So let's go to my coffee shop. Let's reload this one. And you see that all prices are coming back again because we reset the database. And let's now try this again. Update the product, set price to 0. I submit. I don't get anything back. But if you look at the prices, if I reload it, the prices are all the same. That is because now the input is separated from the query, and we basically use a prepared statement now. And the prepared statements make sure that in the first step, the SQL gets to the database and the execution plan is already created. And in the second step, we give the parameters, and so the execution plan cannot be influenced anymore. So basically, we prevent that SQL injection can happen with this module. Somebody said escaping. Who said that? In some languages, you can escape, but escaping is the thing on the client side. The difference is that on the client side, you do some escaping, like with slashes and quotes and double quotes, and then you send the whole query over to the database. Potentially, you still can get breached if you know how the escaping works. So there is a slight difference between a prepared statement and a SQL query. In this case, we're using a prepared statement because we're using native JPA and a Hibernate. So let's see. Shall we share? Well, I believe that this works now. Let's go to the second one.
Mhm.
So what is our second objective?
Oh, yes. So this is about user personalization. So if you go back to, in fact, why don't we go to, you can either go to Burp Suite or like Chromium or this if you
Yeah,
if you want.
let's do this with Burp Suite.
Okay. So we'll use this for the potential hopeful exploit in a second, which we'll use Chromium for with Burp Suite as a proxy. But what we want to do here is, yep. What we want to do here is be able to add a profile picture to our profile. So add an avatar into our profile. So if we open the browser there and go to our localhost app. Cool. So if we go log in, let's log in here.
I know your password.
Yeah.
Because it's
1 2 3 1 2, and then I'll won't
Yeah,
say
yeah,
won't say
whatever.
the third one, the sixth one, just in case.
Yeah.
There we go. Cool.
Let's save it. Yes, it's great.
Yeah, go for it. Go to profile.
All right.
Now, if at the bottom here we click on upload, and let's choose a file there. Do you have a picture of me?
No, I've got a picture of me, of
I was
course.
going to say
because
that would be
wait,
weird.
I
That would be
am
very weird. Okay, upload that image. Nada.
nothing.
Go back to profile. Is it uploaded?
No, it's not uploaded. Nothing.
Okay. And the reason again?
We probably implemented
We're
this.
half-arsing our development, aren't we?
Obviously. It was Friday. It was a long weekend. You know how it works, right? So let's go to the upload controller because that's where we're gonna do this. And so one of the things that you see here is this application or this function is not yet doing anything. So we have a multipart file that comes in, and we actually need to do something with that multipart file and actually save this. So what are we going to ask Copilot? Because I have no clue how this works.
So we want to first of all obviously save this to a directory. We have the upload directory up there. So let's get the file name.
File name. What do you want to do with the file name?
Let's normalize it again,
All
like
right.
we did before.
Let's
Actually, let's just say save file to the upload directory. There you
to
go.
upload folder.
That'll do.
All right. Okay, now it tries to normalize the file name, so it just makes all the spaces into underscores. That's pretty fine.
Yeah.
File name, path.upload, great. File.write, makes sense.
Yeah. And then these last three,
Set
you can
picture to
yeah.
the user. Yes, we need to save that picture to whatever is in the database. Makes also sense.
Yeah.
Set profile picture. Yeah, save person. Great.
Cool.
Oh, and this part we can use to.
We can just delete.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's that obviously sets the.
Oh, that save person is also done here. But so
Yeah. Delete the last two.
We can remove this one.
Yeah.
Right. So this should work, right?
Any problems with the code? Oh.
What?
Who said that? What's a directory traversal? Amazing. And what's the so where does that occur? And where is the exploit actually happening? So where is the point at which we are doing the wrong thing, and where is the point at which an exploit could exist? The paths.get. That's okay. So paths.get, we concatenate upload directory, which is, what is that?
/uploads.
And we concatenate that with the name that we get as input. And that is user input, even though it's a file. Whatever comes with that, the metadata that comes with that is user input. So what you're saying is we could potentially have a .. in that file name. And where does the exploit then occur? When it writes, so line 37, right? So let's save this first, and let's do that again in Burp Suite.
Yep.
And see if we can get it working, and then actually perform that exploit as well.
So let's see. let's do it all over again.
Yeah, we need to log in again.
Okay, cool. I'm still logged in as
Oh,
Simon,
okay.
which is great. Profile, cool. Now I can upload my picture because then at least you look pretty.
Right,
Okay,
so
now
there's
we
the
get
feedback.
back that the file is uploaded. Get back to the profile, and we see that now you look like me.
Yeah.
Anyway, we use Burp Suite for a reason. Burp Suite can be used as a proxy, and that's what we did here. So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna go to the proxy history, and what you see at the end over here is that we saved all of the proxy requests, including the post request of uploading that image. So if you go there, you will see that we have a request over here and the response. So what I'm going to do first, and I'm going to into the request in a second, I'm going to do this and send this to my repeater. So if we have the repeater here, you will see that this is my request. And the red part is basically the image, like gibberish. And somebody tampered with that image. Just a shout out to Mr. I'm not saying his name, Gerrit Groenwald, who created the picture. But what you can see here as well is that it has a ton of headers. And one of these headers here over here is file name is brian500.jpg. So what should we overwrite in this case? Because now we can do, if what the gentleman said over here, we can do something like this, right?
Let's do something visual. Let's go back to the home page.
All right. Let's get back to the home page. Yeah?
We can override that sneak. So this now we're talking about what permissions we have, right? So from the application point of view, what files can that application have permissions to then overwrite? Maybe it's a system file. In this case, we're doing an application file. So
yeah, I copied the link to the.
Cool.
So what we're gonna do here is put that here. Oh, that's sneak.io.
Oh, no,
That's the link.
you
No, I
need
need to have the image. Copy image address. Copy the image address over here, and it's in the /image folder. So I might just need to do ..
Yeah.
Right? Okay, let's try this. So as you can see, and I will make it bigger, we now changed this image to something different, and we just changed the file name. If we send this, you will see that in my response, I will have an HTTP 200. So it worked. Cool. Let's see what happened. Going back to my application and reloading everything, you're now on top. Or I'm on top.
Having coffee shop with a Dutch person next to it seems a bit weird, but yeah.
We are great. We are great at coffee shops.
Yeah, yeah.
Just don't order an espresso over there. You can order the brownies. It's great. So what should we do to fix this? Going back to my code. Why? Because Copilot.
Well, let's have a look. Like in the first time, it was a bit late when we saw that the testing, right? 'Cause
Yep.
it does. If we push this, or if you send a pull request for this, it will test again on our pull request, right?
Huh.
Can we do it earlier?
Well, I have this plugin by this company you used to work for.
Yeah.
And
Terrible company.
yeah, great.
Yeah.
And it scans. And it scans all sorts of things. In this case, also my code. And it says here in my upload controller, I have an issue, which indeed is a path traversal problem. So what it says over here is that the path traversal starts in the upload folder, line 33, and goes to line 37. So I could have prevented this before I actually pushed it. Well, we didn't push it, we just tried it locally. But normally it works on my machine, ship it. So goes to line 37, and obviously 37 is the actual writing of the file where we use the file name and path that was created the line above, where we concatenated the upload folder and the file name. So one of the things we can do is let's see if it has some useful hints for us, right? Yeah, no, this is about zip files, which makes sense, but if you unload the zip file, you need to do something.
That was interesting though. So if you go down slightly,
Yeah.
So what we're looking at is we're normalizing the path that we have and making
yeah,
sure
that's
it starts with the destination path. So after the // go, after it gets normalized, does it start with a target directory?
I think that's actually a good thing to do. So maybe we can.
Question.
Just ask Copilot to avoid the path traversal and see what's happening.
We can do that as
Sure,
well.
let's try it because we didn't prepare this at all. Um,
Come on, this is live coding. It's just going to work, right?
really,
Let's do
really.
it. So we want to say something along the lines of check or test. So probably after the file name and path. Say something along the lines of test if file name and path is vulnerable or not vulnerable to path traversal. There you go. And we say if file name and path to string contains ... Very interesting. Anyone know why this is wrong? Say a second. A different, yeah. So hear what you're saying. Dot slash is what path traversal is. But the lady here was saying, is there another way of saying that, right?
Yep, it is.
Anyone think of a way of, yeah? Yeah, dot slash. Is there another way? Another way of representing that? Just slash potentially.
What do you think of HTML encoding?
Or,
Yeah.
Yeah, or URL encoding,
So
right?
who knows what the HTML encoding is for a dot? No, no. Luckily, we have developers here. We don't have hackers here. Because if somebody said it's %2e, I'm like, oh gosh. So that's a good question. You should ask your next person that comes into your team, like, what is the URL encoding for a dot? And he knows %2e. Like, you're on security team. You're in the wrong team. So so the thing is, yes, it helps you, but it blacklists or it blocklists the dot. So we can go around that by, for instance, HTML encoding, depending if it's not done earlier. So the thing that we could do is, instead of doing that, using, well, let's find out if it can do. Normalize. All right. Now we get to this thing. What normalize does, normalize actually executes the path and looks where it ends up. You can also do the canonical path, but canonical path is based on string comparison. And because my upload doesn't have a trailing, or my upload folder doesn't have a trailing slash, we can still have partial path traversal problems, which is going into deep. But this is one of the ways how we can avoid this. And if we do this now again, then you cannot even do it anymore because it will give you an IO exception.
Interesting. The way I'd have done it would be probably like a two file, then a two file, followed by a
canonical path.
Canonical path, yeah.
The canonical path, however, depends on string comparison.
Yeah.
So that means if I do have /uploads/Sam, and I do or /upload/Samantha, and I would do /upload/Sam, then still it's the same because the string comparison. Normalize would not do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, it depends on how you ask Copilot what to do, and it will give you different answers. And maybe you even think it tries to help you with escaping. That's not always the case. Let's go to the...
And don't forget, what Copilot is doing is it's learning from the masses. It's not necessarily picking the best answer. It's learning from the masses. It's being trained, and it will get better and better and better over the years, but it's providing you with what it thinks tokenally is the best, is the most suitable next token, next word for given the context, given the request you have put in. Doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean Copilot even understands what it's providing you. It doesn't understand the data flows, it doesn't understand what a security issue is. So when it provides you with data back, it's really, really important that you need to understand it, you need to check it, and recognize whether there are vulnerabilities. For example, when we were even saying that, checking for path traversal, that isn't a good enough check for path traversal. In fact, the guy who wrote NPM, Isaacs on GitHub, he created a library called ST, which was a node library, which what is it? It's a static file.
It provides static files to the Node.js ecosystem, so you can just show static files. And it actually had this vulnerability in it, that there was ... and it escaped ... but if you did path traversal with HTML encoding, you just sliced right through and you still good.
And that was one of the major security issues that he fixed, and I think 0.025 or something like that.
But does this mean the masters don't write secure code?
The masters? Oh, the masters, yeah. Oh, absolutely, the masters don't write secure code, yeah. Yeah, 100%.
So let's continue and let's keep
Does
the
anyone
question.
disagree with that? No?
Generative AI will get worse if the code base gets worse.
Generative AI will get worse if the code base gets worse. If what it is training on is bad, it will provide. If it's put shit in, you get shit out. That,
Garbage in and garbage out. Yeah.
what needs to happen is you need to train it on better data. The problem is with LLMs, it needs huge amounts of data. Where can you get huge amounts of and it's not just security issues, whether it's quality problems, whether it's performance issues, whatever it is, whether it's styling issues, it will provide you with what it's trained on. There is fine tuning and things like that, but the issue is Copilot is great for doing things like storytelling, creating poems and things like that, because it's very creative and it's very interesting to do things like that. But when it's something which is syntactically rule-based, it has no idea of those rules or those flows. It just provides you with the next most appropriate word based on its training. So it's important to look at tools. We're using Sneak here today. There's a ton that you can use, right? I don't work for Sneak anymore, but I'd say, yeah, probably the best. Based on my shares, probably the best.
Yeah.
But something that recognizes and understands those flows that can actually provide you with the yes/no answer as to whether it believes, based on data that is other than most people do this, whether it's secure or not.
And when you get the answer from Copilot, if you're not happy with it, can you get another answer?
You can ask it. So if you ask it the same question again and again and again, there is variance in that. It can provide you with a perfect answer and then an answer which is actually not maybe incorrect. It could be a hallucination. It also doesn't know when it hallucinates most of the time, right? There's work being done on that kind of thing. But yeah, you could also ask it in a slightly different way and get a completely different answer. Right, so there's variance in that. What's it called? That's temperature, right?
Yep.
You can reduce that temperature, and it will reduce the amount of variance in the responses. But yeah, increasing that temperature is really good if you want creative writing and things like that. But in coding, perhaps that's not. But that's where tools like Copilot and things like that fine tune based on other data, as well as create the right levels of temperature and other things to provide you with closer, more accurate. So could you elaborate on that?
Oh, you're saying that you should also check the
Oh,
size and the format of the file. Absolutely.
Of the file uploaded.
Yeah.
In this case.
Sure, because you could also use this to upload something completely different other than an image and do another binary and override a binary on your, I don't know, on your operating system. Yes, so there you need to have several things, but if you now do this here and you do the path reversal check, you at least know it doesn't break out of that upload folder, so you contain it in a certain place. And still it can override other things. Other thing you can do over here, obviously, is not use the file name and generate the file name yourself. Then you're absolutely sure. But sometimes you need to have the file name or contain the file name that you already have, because I don't know what your use case is. But a lot of people, like this code is also, if you look around on Stack Overflow, you will see these pieces of code as tutorials. And I don't know what Copilot or any LLM is trained on, because it's a great set. But it will provide you sometimes code that is not correct or not secure. But let's continue with the last one. We have already a half-ass baked feature, right? Showing the
as usual.
As usual.
Yeah.
Showing the unique product page per product. Okay. Let's go there and let's find out where we can have that. It's probably here in the product controller. So over here, my junior in my team already wrote some code.
Oh yeah, this was me.
Yeah, you're the junior in my team.
Yeah, I did.
Well, you was. That's why you're not working for us anymore.
I wrote some HTML in Java for because I think that's the right way of doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And actually, if you go to the what is it? It's the product.
Well, I've got a few links already for
Oh,
you.
okay.
So say we have the black top coffee, then you see that this page exists. It's not yet linked, however.
Yeah.
So what does it do? As you can see over here, it has a parameter. So what do you think is happening over here? Anyone? If you look at the code, and let's zoom in on this line.
So what we do is we grab this product name. If you go up a tiny bit more.
Yeah, you see that this product name is
up.
even up?
There we go. This direct link here, based off the direct endpoint, we take a param in. That param is the product name, which we get from the URL. What we do is we grab from that, we grab the product from that product name in the database. We grab the description, the product type, and the price. We already have the product name, which is the parameter. We pass that through, and then all 4 of those we output directly into HTML.
Because without doing any form of validation or sanitization, the product name comes in here.
Keep it simple.
I would just push it out because that's how you do HTML in Java, right?
Any issues? Yes.
Exactly.
And cross-site scripting is? Yeah.
Well,
so it's the ability to add something malicious that will be embedded, hopefully run on the page, or maybe through an action, or maybe somewhere else. So what's happening here is Brian's changing the param to a script. He's posting an alert. He's grabbing the document cookie.
Cookie, right?
Nice, yeah. And you want to close the script. Yeah.
Nah, it doesn't give me. But if I do.
Oh, put the semicolon after cookie without the brackets.
Well, if I just do something like alert 1, you will see that the alert happens. So I can execute JavaScript.
Yeah. I think it's a document cookie with a semicolon straight.
That could be, but it's not like if you can get the cookie, you can get the JSession ID, and you could probably, if you offload it to another page, you can hijack the session in that case.
And this is the classic: when you get the document cookie, that's your session ID, right? And so what you would do is, or what I would do is, I'd create an AWS server, probably on my wife's account, and from here, I would take the JSession ID, maybe base64 encode it, and send maybe image requests to my wife's AWS server. And then what I get there is lots of errors saying can't get this image with a nice base64 encoded session ID. And now I can use that session ID and go in and impersonate other people. So it's a way that a malicious server, a bad server somewhere, can get loads and loads of nice session IDs from people for impersonation.
But how can we use it? I mean, now it's just a page that is there. We need to incorporate this.
Mm-hmm.
So where do we incorporate this? The product table, I guess.
Yeah. So if you go up a little bit, let's a little bit more maybe. Sorry, down a bit. Keep going. Here.
Ah, here.
So comment out this one. Put that one in. What this is now doing is it's adding that link into the table, into that main homepage table, so that every product will now have an href pointing to its own direct page.
So let's go back to the no, don't do this. Let's go back to the homepage like here, and let's reload it.
You're still up there. I like that.
Ah, it's still me.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
It's fine. But we don't have that.
That's cool. So each of these now links, and typically when a breach or an attack properly happens, it's not just one vulnerability. What we could do is use that SQL injection vulnerability that we've just fixed, but use that SQL injection vulnerability to change the product name to be that link, and it'll just look really weird, obviously. And someone might click it, and then bang, JSession ID on a malicious backend.
Oh, we can do that.
There could be other things as well. We have like 6 minutes.
Oh.
Just to let you know.
Okay, so don't do that. The thing is, we can do it over here, but what I did the reasonable thing, and I took my code and I asked ChatGPT what's wrong with it, right? Because that's how we use ChatGPT.
Wait, you put all of that code into ChatGPT?
Yeah, why not?
A personal, IP-sensitive code into ChatGPT?
Well, it was your
No,
code.
that's fine.
It was your code.
That seems very reasonable.
So I asked ChatGPT, which we obviously shouldn't do, like, hey, do a code review for me, please, and just paste it in the code. And it says, sure, here are some observations. Some things with HTML building, some string concatenation, error handling, reusability, variable naming. It didn't tell me anything about security yet. So what it does, it gave me a whole different way to use the HTML.appender to do these kind of things, which is absolutely great, but it doesn't fix my problem. Even if I ask, like, are there any security issues in my code? Like, okay, there might be some HTML injection and you concatenate user input. Okay, we're getting there.
And notice it says potentially there as well, because it doesn't understand the code. It thinks there are because it's read somewhere that this looks like a security, or this is a security issue, but it can't test whether this code has a security issue or not. So it can only provide a recommendation based on what it thinks, but it's not actually thinking.
Yep.
Hope that makes sense.
So it says something like sanitize user input. Oh, show me how to fix this. Now it begins about cross-site scripting attacks. Cool. We need to sanitize our input. Sure. And then it just gives me a snippet and I don't understand it because you wrote the code.
Mm-hmm.
And then it starts here with, hey, my bootstrap CSS URLs. And then it appends that here in my code with the HTML appender. And it says something about exception handling, but again, not finding the vulnerability and fixing the vulnerability for me. Actually, if you look at this code, there are 2 vulnerabilities in it. And there are 2 cross-site scripting vulnerabilities in this upload controller. And if I use my thing again, it also shows you here, there are 2 cross-site scriptings, which was the one that we showed you in the product name. But there's also a second one, which is here writer.write, and it uses the description, product type, and price from the database, which that's what we call a reflective cross-site scripting. So if somebody doesn't detect you right away, the first one is called the first one is called the reflective cross-site scripting because it reflects right back to you. This is a stored cross-site scripting. So somebody attacks your database, make sure it's over there, puts in JavaScript, and it gets rendered in your machine when somebody else is asking for it, if you don't escape it. So neither of the 2 is getting caught. It just says potentially you need to sanitize and nothing more. So even though you might use LLMs, you might use ChatGPT, you might use Copilot, you absolutely need to know what these kind of basic security statements are. And I would say use tooling around that to help you because we already have a bunch of stuff we need to take care of.
HTML utils or there's a Spring utils or something. Yeah, things like that already do that sanitization for you. So you don't have to do the test for .. and actually get it wrong. Use those libraries to do that sanitization.
But score, we did our application. But what are the learnings of this? How to approach security and AI assistant development, which is a good way. Well, it all starts with education. Like, make sure that in your company you have guidelines. You probably work as an autonomous team, but have guidelines how to use these kind of things. Don't put code in ChatGPT, especially not if there are tokens or secrets in it. I mean, there was a case with Samsung, I guess.
Yeah, early days Samsung. One in Samsung employee started uploading a ton of IP into ChatGPT, and it was obviously learning from that, and well, IP leaving the boundary, right?
Yep. So focus on these kind of things, like what are security vulnerabilities and how to do this, and make sure that this education is accessible and available to everybody. But also, next to that, don't just blindly trust whatever your AI code assistant or tooling just gives you. You've seen that it hallucinates, and it will hallucinate in a bad way, even with some things you will find if you do proper code reviews. Who does code reviews? Okay, the rest does pair programming. Great. So I would say treat AI like a little kid or like your new junior developer that pushes code for you. Do you trust that blindly? Probably not.
Interestingly, though, I know we have a minute left, but about a year ago, I think a study was made whereby I think it showed that developers trusted AI-generated code to be more secure than their own.
Yep.
Which was really interesting, and I hope that's changed since, because I know it was a year-old study. But it's a very, very interesting point that people, I guess, it's people thinking that they are, lesser than a secure developer.
So test and validate and make sure that you combine these things. Like security tooling is still needed. AI doesn't solve that. AI is great, and these code assistants are great, but make sure you have something else next to it that scans it at least for your security problems. We have some future readings for you. I will publish the slides, like the 10 best practices for secure development in AI. and something about the OWASP top 10 for large language models, something about our report on AI coding and security and trust, and obviously there are plugins available, like the plugin I'm using now. You can use it for free, so try it. Anyway, that's it for us. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you liked it as the first thing, and great rest of the conference. Thanks.